to be in pictures. You're wonderful.
1, 2, 3.
Woo!
Boom! Hi, everybody.
Hey there.
That was an amazing sound effect that your can of yerba mate made.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seemed like almost all of it ran out. So I guess
It took all the energy of a
You
mate.
drank your mate before the episode started again.
you caught me.
Jeez.
That's what happened.
For our friends listening in audio land, I opened a bottle. That's why it didn't go. Oh well.
You got a peach one.
I get it. Peach is delicious. So, since we're on the topic of yerba mate, this is the time where we typically say something like, thank you to Guayaki, purveyors of fine yerba mate.
Oh, yeah. We're still doing that.
Yep. Guayaki Organic Brand Yerba Mate, our official sponsor. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Grab a bottle, grab a can, and come to life, just like us. Welcome back to the Talkies, 3 filmmakers talking about talkies. All right, guys.
We saw a movie today.
We saw a movie today, and I'll be the first to venture my opinion here. It wasn't bad.
I would agree. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
Okay, well,
And that
let's wrap
does
it up then.
That does it.
In that case, everyone, have a nice day.
I'll see you later.
Nothing here to talk about. We're going to start off with a spoiler-free section, as is our new policy. So for the next 10 to 20 minutes, we will go over how we felt about the movie without spoiling any of the final details. We will issue a very clear warning when we switch into the spoiler-filled version of the show.
Yep.
Okay, so the big movie in question, Black Panther.
Pack Panther.
Yeah. Big one.
Big one.
So the
Huge.
The hype machine was in full force over the last few weeks, especially.
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And like a crazy amount of hype,
A
right?
lot, yeah.
More hype around a Marvel movie than I've seen in a long time.
Definitely a very long time.
How do you think it played out?
Taylor.
Why don't you go, Taylor?
I thought it
And remember,
was...
if you thought it was bad, you're racist.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Dang.
So I'm going to have to tiptoe a little bit. I don't want to be racist, but thankfully I don't have to be because I actually did like this movie quite a bit.
Whoa.
I'd actually even go as far as say it was probably one of my favorite Marvel movies since the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, everything in between then has been, like, yeah, just kind of like, Thor Ragnarok was pretty fun, but I thought this was a lot better than that.
Yeah.
I liked that it didn't take itself super seriously, but it definitely didn't undermine everything with humor.
It wasn't like super silly.
Right.
Yeah, it
like
wasn't
many
crazy
of the Marvel
silly.
movies have been.
Yeah, it wasn't just like
A disease that
insufferably.
spilled into Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah, it's terrible. It wasn't insufferable. All this sarcasm wasn't insufferable.
Right.
And they really reined it back in and told a story that was actually pretty interesting about what's the word, like a hierarchy kind of thing. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm
monarchy?
looking for that, maybe that, and like
Kingdoms.
the intertwining of bloodlines and rights to thrones and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was a really interesting
Yeah.
take.
The
Definitely
world,
different.
World building was very cool.
Political.
Yeah, very political.
All right, D, your take.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was like a really cool movie, and like it was kind of weird because it was like this really cool movie that every now and then interrupted itself and be like, hey, remember we're a Marvel film?
Yeah, that did
Little
happen.
reminders every here and there.
Yeah, and I was like, oh right,
Yeah. Does it have to be?
right, yeah. So I think this movie could stand alone because it has a lot of cool stuff. It doesn't work entirely, but it's a lot of fun. I liked it. Liked it a lot.
And I, too, was very pleased with this movie. I would go as far as to say this is my favorite Marvel film.
Wow,
Nice.
It really is. And not... and my take was that I didn't really feel like there were too many moments where I was reminded this was a Marvel film. I felt
good.
so fresh.
That's
Yeah,
good.
it
Like,
was
it
pretty
was
fresh.
just so fresh. And the main word that kept coming into my mind is that this movie is just simply cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
that's what I
cool
was
factor
thinking.
was
Yeah.
just through the roof.
Oh, super.
Right?
Yeah. Super cool.
So much to love. world that they created. I love movies, and you don't see them very much anymore, about discovering a lost world, right? These storylines were really big in like the 1920s, 30s, 40s, because there was still an idea that there could be a place out there that has been untouched by man, and who knows what would be there, right?
Right.
But that notion's really died in human imagination, with the exception of outer space and other planets, and so I like this idea of was it Wakanda?
Wakanda.
Really a lost world that is the greatest civilization on Earth, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. I like that whole idea that this El Dorado place was supposed to be, like, they called it El Dorado at one point, and then, or referred to it as El Dorado.
Yeah.
And it was Wakanda.
And it's not gold in El
It's not
Dorado.
gold. It's vibranium.
A whole new
Vibranium.
thing. Yeah.
Which that's what Captain's shield's
Shield.
made out of,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Oh, I
Captain
didn't know
America's
that.
shield.
Dude, the intro to this movie was so cool.
So
Yeah.
cool.
So cool. What they did with it's funny because it reminded me of a movie that didn't make it work, which was I'm gonna go into M. Night's territory here. Lady in the Water.
Uh-huh.
When they did that whole thing where they explained the history of everything before they get into the actual film.
Yeah.
It's like that's a film that completely didn't work out doing it
Yeah.
that way. This one completely worked out.
Yeah.
Like explained everything. I thought really good.
That's actually when I knew, like, I was pretty much sold on the film from the beginning. Like, I was like, oh man, this opening scene was awesome, and like if they could keep this up, then this is gonna be like a really cool addition to Marvel's reputation.
Another thing they did really well is the creation of their tech, right? So, a lot of movies try to show future tech, and so that tech is always based on our present tech moved forward 10 steps, right? So where would our tech be 10 steps from now? But the idea with Wakanda is that they had their own technological revolution 1,000 years ago that evolved outside of the rest of civilization.
Yeah.
Their own evolution of technology. And so therefore it should not be influenced by all the things we have. And they did that perfectly.
Yeah,
Like
it was
everything
cool.
there just seems so fresh and unique.
I want to call this film African Star Wars.
African Star Wars.
Yeah, because they had a lot
Yeah,
of
I
what,
can dig that.
what I would say Star Wars did was like all that new kind of technology that was separated from humanity before. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like, oh, this is a cool futuristic idea of what the iPhone will be in
Right.
50 years.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. it's
Instead,
like new
these are
stuff.
and the way it all seemed very organic, right? Their technology, like instead of a display being made out of lasers, it appeared to be like made out of sand,
yeah,
Yeah, that was cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
which was really cool.
I also really liked the soundtrack in general.
Good
All
music.
of the
I really dug
Yep.
it.
like African style tribal drum stuff.
Yeah.
Also kind of just going in with the more modern, like just trap beats and stuff
Right,
going
right.
on.
Yeah, there
which
was some straight up trap music in there.
yeah,
It was
which
interesting.
was really cool.
Yeah.
I bought into all the characters
Yeah.
pretty dang deep, and there were some silly characters.
Yes.
Andy Serkis's character, who we'll go more into in the spoiler section,
Yeah.
but
No,
he
he
was
was
a
good.
freaking over-the-top insane man.
I
it
loved
was
him.
great.
He was
And
awesome.
he was so
Yeah.
good,
So
right?
good.
We have a villain in this film in the guise of Michael B. Jordan. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he made me feel emotion.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
compelling.
For him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like he actually delivers.
He wasn't, and Marvel's full of one-dimensional villains. I mean, they really nailed it in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The what's her name? The general. Whatever
And-
film previous to this one that had Black Panther in it also
That
had
was Civil War.
also had her in it,
Yeah.
or it also had the general character.
With Black Panther.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
they-
don't remember. I should revisit that.
That was Civil War.
Anyway, but I remember her character coming out there as like this hard, like warrior type person, and you're just like, oh shit, like this person can kick ass.
Yeah.
And she like turns up to like 11 in this one.
She
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like,
In fact, the whole, all-female Royal Guard
Yeah.
team.
and I
with
want to
their-
go more into that more.
They were
in-depth.
amazing. Let's just cover a few things
Sure,
like performances, costume, effects, that kind of stuff.
Costumes and colors and All that was awesome in here. The aesthetics were so cool.
Probably the best costumes I've seen in a film in a long time.
Yeah. It actually reminded me of Thor Ragnarok a little bit.
Well, it was very vibrantly colored,
Yeah.
which Thor was. But it felt like everything. The big difference was that in Thor, it felt like it was just vibrant for the sake of being colorful.
Right. No, this one had
Whereas
purpose.
this one, there was a story behind every tribe dressed a certain way.
Right.
The Royal Guard had their way of dressing.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I couldn't help but look at Michael B. Jordan's metal breastplate, and I was just staring at it, and I'm like, that's plastic. It's like, that is definitely plastic. Because it was like kind of bending a little bit, and it shined in just a strange way.
Well, I didn't say it was necessarily metal. It could have been.
Maybe it was plastic.
Carbon fiber.
Maybe.
It was carbon fiber.
Maybe it was carbon fiber.
I think it was stylized to be metal. It definitely looked like it was supposed to be metal to
Taylor
me.
has a hard time suspending his disbelief.
Well, if it looks like plastic, I'm like, what's...
I was way too focused on his hair instead.
Oh, yeah.
His hair looked awesome.
Some cool hair.
I loved his hair.
Other than that, though, yeah, the costumes are all fantastic.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked all the makeup, too.
I bought into every performance in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'd say, like honestly, if you had to pick like the weakest performance in the movie, is that Martin Freeman?
Just because he
Like,
doesn't do anything,
just because
really.
he had the least
Because he had
dramatic
nothing to
scenes.
do, yeah.
Like, and yeah, he was great.
He was still
He
fine. He was
pretty
so good, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
His American accent is so good.
it is very good.
It's freaky.
He does accents very well. What else? The main character is named Chadwick. What a cool name.
His name's Chadwick.
Yeah, so King T'Challa, or Black Panther, is named Chadwick Boseman.
Hi, I'm Chadwick.
Nope.
And dude, he has freaking buffed up since some of his other roles.
What else is he in?
Well, I believe he played Jackie Robinson
Oh, in 42.
in 42. Yep.
I didn't say that.
It's a good movie. I liked it. Harrison Ford's in it. Yeah, man.
I mean, Solo.
I do mean the real Han Solo, not that other clown. I really like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there was a time when I was like, yeah, Marvel's okay, but I really like Captain America.
Right.
There was a time. That phase is so behind me now. I'm sick of them all. I like him a lot.
I thought he was
Long live the king.
when I was watching Civil War, I was like, Black Panther is such a silly character because he's so serious. I'm just like, he doesn't need to be that serious. But then I watch this movie and it's like, it's perfect.
Yeah,
His
it
character
fits
feels perfect.
very much in.
He's got a lot to be responsible for. He's a king,
Yeah.
you know?
And he's actually not even as serious as he was in Civil War.
Yeah.
We get to see his lighter side. And oh man, the girl who played his sister, like
She was great.
stole. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was really good.
Yeah, and I thought, like, it looked like they were going, oh, it's this, like, so typical trope of the brainy little sister who somehow is able to invent all kinds of amazing tech, you know?
Right.
And that is the way they went, but with the exception that it worked.
Yeah.
You know?
Good
Yeah.
characters.
I kind of love when
good
people do
performance.
that. They're like, oh, they're doing that thing again. Oh, but they pulled it off, didn't they? Wow. Bravo. Bravo indeed. So before we jump into our spoiler section then, I'll just end my spoiler-free moment by saying this is one of the best times at the movie theater for a comic book hero movie I've had in years. I said that about Thor Ragnarok, and this is 10 times the movie. It really is. So
That's awesome.
go see Black Panther.
You didn't use any of your cigarettes.
Nope. No metaphorical cigarettes were smoked in this film. I feel like none of it was a waste of my life, with the exception of some of the ads and previews before the movie.
Which we never. Yeah,
Some of them
never
were
saw a
really
favorite
bad.
ad.
All right, go ahead.
I pretty much feel the same way. I liked it a lot. I definitely think you should go see it. Definitely see it, actually. If you're a fan of Marvel, you've already seen it by now. And if you are just on the fence because you say, oh, Marvel has been inconsistent in the past, this is one of their better ones, I'd say, for
It's
sure.
worth adding.
Yeah.
You don't need to have any connection to the rest of the Marvel
Yeah.
Cinematic Universe
That's
to
really
enjoy
nice.
this movie.
Yeah,
Really
it
nice.
It did
stands on its
not
own.
build upon any of it other than the fact that in Civil War, the main character's father dies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
And they even have that.
But they show that.
flashback to
They
it.
show that.
and
So
there's
they don't talk about the Avengers. There's no Tony Stark. There's none of it.
I'm not sure if that's a spoiler or not for Civil War.
Spoilers are relative.
We don't care about spoiling Civil War at this point.
We're not. Yeah,
You're
this
trying-
is Black Panther
The
spoilers.
spoiler-free section is so that we don't spoiler your experience with Black Panther. Okay? And we're telling you it's good.
Yes, it is good. So there was. This is relevant, I promise. There was a time in the theater when I saw, what was it? Dark Knight, right? Dark Knight, just the second one. Mm-hmm. Where the semi truck flipped over, and I got this. What do you call it? What do you call it when you have a fully emotional reaction to something? Cathartic. That's what it was. Cathartic experience. So when that happened, it's like I had chills, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And my eyes watered up. And what me and my brother call this is, "Oh, it's so awesome!" That happened to me at least 3 or 4 times in this movie.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, we
That's
didn't
so
even
cool.
mention they did some stunt stuff. Well, how much of it was stunt and how much of it was CGI,
CGI, yeah.
was pretty well blended, but that we just haven't seen before.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
and it's like all the freaking moves of every fight in the Avengers universe.
Right.
It's all the same, man, over and over again, and this was very new.
It was nice. It was
Yeah.
fresh. So go see the movie. Go see it.
Awesome. That ends our spoiler-free segment for Black Panther. If you do not want to be spoiled, you haven't seen it yet, and are thinking about seeing it, probably should stop listening, go check it out, and then come back.
Spoilers start in 3.
Two.
One. Darth Vader is Luke's father.
No!
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
All right. So welcome to the spoiler-filled section of the Talkies, where we are talking about Black Panther. So here's where I'd like to bring it up. Okay, most movies I watch, there's moments where I start laughing where the filmmakers don't want you to laugh. That happens in most movies for me. Because I'm just like, they did that. Oh my gosh, that was so stupid. And I laugh out loud, usually in parts where you're just not supposed to be, and people in the audience turn around or like, what is wrong with that guy? So
Like
I had
the baby scene in Mother.
I did laugh in Mother a few times, not at that one. But didn't you guys hear me laugh out loud? There was a moment. Do you remember it?
In this movie? No,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So Michael B. Jordan's character, whose name in the movie is
Killmonger. It's the
it
silliest.
is Eric
silliest thing.
Killmonger. Eric Killmonger. When Mr. Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, challenges King T'Challa,
Killmonger.
our friend Chadwick, for the throne. They have this battle. The King T'Challa gets his butt kicked and ends up getting thrown over a cliff, presumably killed. When he was thrown over the cliff, I laughed out loud. Not because I wasn't emotionally invested into the moment. I was totally... I bought into the stakes of the moment, but I could not ignore the parallels to The Lion King. And I saw that zoom in to Simba's face where he goes, no! Because, I mean, it was exactly the same thing. It was exactly the same. It was Scar throwing Mufasa over the cliff.
That's so funny because this had so much Lion King in it.
It had a ton of
Like
Lion
a lot
King.
of it. And I think
Forrest Whitaker was Rafiki. He was.
I think it's mainly because The Lion King was built after Africa, right? Because they had a lot of African influence in the animation.
I think there was more influence than just that because,
Yeah.
I mean, you even had King T'Challa communicating with his spirit father, with his father basically telling him the same thing, remember who you are, right? I mean, I'm like, wow, this is...
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
It did have, because it was about getting to the king and everything.
I notice you're being awfully quiet on this subject, Taylor. Why is that?
Well,
Say it.
There are some
Admit it.
films.
Admit it now.
There's a lot of movies in this world, and not everybody has the time to watch all
Get
movies.
to the point. You haven't seen The Lion King.
I've never seen The Lion King
I view
in one
you as like
sitting.
an unwhole person, like you're disabled. I'm not upset with you. I pity you. I'm just like,
Well,
that's so sad.
I may have well have
Was he
seen
born that way?
So you saw Antichrist?
Yeah,
You didn't see Lion King.
I've seen Antichrist by Lars von
Dude.
Trier, but I've not seen
Lion King is so good.
I've seen it through osmosis. That's what I say.
That's not a thing.
It is.
That's not a. That's
I just
not
made it up. It's the only movie I've seen through
It's
osmosis.
the only one.
The only one?
Yeah.
Well, having seen Black Panther, or we could call it Panther King.
Panther King.
Yeah,
it's perfectly.
Maybe you don't need to see The
it
Lion
now.
King now.
Yeah.
It's completely the same.
Coming into
All
the
the same.
movie, I almost said it to you guys before we went in. Yeah. I almost said, just watch. This is going to be so much like The Lion King.
Oh.
And it was.
They even had
a lot like The Lion King.
They had a sunset too.
Oh no, that was like the last straw for me. Is at the end when Killmonger has his wound, he's gonna die.
Yeah, and they go to the sun.
And he says, "I'm gonna take you up to the top and show you the sunset before you die," which was a beautiful moment. But again, it felt like a shot right out of Mufasa showing Simba the entire kingdom from the top of Pride Rock. It was just so similar. It was crazy.
That's so funny.
Now, the thing I want to talk about the most about this movie is the bad guy, the antagonist, played by Michael B. Jordan, with the rather on-the-nose name of Killmonger. Thank you, comic books.
Yeah, thank you, comic books.
Started off as just like your one-dimensional violence lover.
Yeah.
And by the end, you're just like, holy crap, I totally see how you got to where you are, and I get it, and I want to love you. At the same time, I really see the need to stop you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I really loved. See, that moment was when Andy Serkis takes his girlfriend hostage, and he's like, "Oh," pointing the gun, like, "Oh man, I don't want to shoot you," but then he just does, and he kills his girlfriend to get him because he doesn't really care.
No
that
remorse
much,
about killing.
That's so crazy.
And that's what got me, because as soon as Andy Serkis took him hostage, and up to the whole movie up to this point was building Andy Serkis as like the
he's
main
the baddie.
antagonist.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And then I was totally expecting Michael B. Jordan to put his gun down and then continue on. Like, I accepted that immediately when the situation happened. And then as soon as he pulled the trigger and killed his girlfriend, I was like, wow, this just got interesting. And I was like, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a lot.
You know what was cool about just that moment, where is like you could understand how Michael B. Jordan killing his girlfriend was like a thing that
For the record, Michael B. Jordan has never killed his girlfriend.
Killmonger.
Thank you.
When Killmonger killed his girlfriend, not Michael B. Jordan.
Thank you.
When Killmonger killed his girlfriend, you felt the whole whoa, that shouldn't happen. But it's because you understood that they were a thing. They were an item.
Yeah.
You know?
They established that before.
And they didn't say anything, like, because it was a film and they visualized everything that they needed to. Like, they robbed the place, right? And then his girlfriend was waiting at the truck. They came in, they smooched, and you're like, oh yeah, they're a thing.
Right.
And then she dies, and you're like, no,
Wow.
why?
Didn't
Yeah,
expect that.
but that really also hammered home the fact that he had a much bigger play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a very small part in that.
Yeah.
Right.
His bigger play was taking the dead body of Andy Serkis's character, who they call, was it LaClaw or something?
Claw. His name is Claw.
Claw, Ulysses Claw, to one of the tribes in Wakanda.
Yeah.
To show, look, I killed your enemy, therefore I'm your friend, and stage this coup. And honestly, from the coup on, that movie is amazing.
Really?
it's
See,
quite
so
good.
I feel actually opposite.
You like the North Korea or the South Korea stuff?
Yeah, so like
better?
everything up until that point, I was totally on board with, and I thought was dope. And the rest of it, I thought was dope also. But I thought it got less interesting.
Not me. That battle sequence at the end. With
No, that was cool.
Was especially when he summoned in his rhinoceri.
That was odd. Well, what was weird about it?
Which also felt very Lion King, by the way.
Killmonger had this motivation to go and like provide aid for other people using Wakanda's technology, and I thought that was a cool thing. And he wanted to do it with weapons and stuff, and I never really understood why he wanted any of that, and I just didn't care. Andy Serkis' stuff where he was just plain crazy and just did stuff because he was crazy, like reminded me a lot of the Joker back in the day. And so I'm like, I was really on board with Andy Serkis' character, and then when Killmonger killed him, I was like, oh, where are they going to take this? And then it just turned into like this kind of regular storyline that they have in almost every Marvel film. At least it felt like that to me, where the bad guy has, well, I'm actually kind of good, see, but I'm just doing it the bad way.
Like Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but I felt like this time I bought it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because he wasn't coming from some really crazy place. He was coming from the streets of Los Angeles.
Right.
And like I've seen those streets, right? And I'm like, I can see how that life could make this guy.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought into it a little bit more than other movies. I just thought the familial ties between the inner windings of that and the bloodline kind of thing was really interesting to me.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as they brought in the whole, his dad killed his uncle,
right,
and then left the boy there, kind of
like
thing.
That was
crazy.
really
cut him
interesting.
like that. Really brought in that layer that makes this all more believable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was really crazy. I really liked that they had that whole family weird attack in there. That was cool.
Yeah.
What I wish they had done with that was that he would avenge his father or something like that, and it didn't seem like that was his goal. Because sure, that got him angry. It's like, I'm angry enough now to become king and spread weapons.
Well, except he was avenging his father, because you have to remember, why was his father killed? Because his father had that same agenda. His father saw what was going on out here in the outside world and felt, this isn't right that we're living like kings in Wakanda.
Right.
All the people who look like us in other places are living these very challenging times, and we should do something about it. He was trying to do that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That actually changes a little bit of it for me. Because then, so that whole part where he's explaining their plan with the guns and everything, what was he trying to do there?
Well, it sounded like he wasn't. Aid is the wrong word, because it sounded like he wanted to go full militant.
Right.
He wanted to arm people,
He
to rise
wanted to
up,
take over the world.
remove people from power.
Right.
Establish something actually very Black Panther movement.
Yeah. No, actually, when they went
The other
that,
Black Panther
when they went to that scene, that opening scene of 1992, I was thinking that. I was like, oh, like the other Black Panther movie.
That was the 60s, so not.
Yeah, but the
90s.
scene reminded me of the 60s.
So all that being said, I think my favorite scene of the whole film was the South Korean car chase with that Kendrick Lamar song playing.
That was
like exhilarating. Like when that was over, I was like, whoa, man, that was
good.
adrenaline
I hadn't
rushing.
bought into a chase scene like that in a long time.
I was giddy.
in.
I was having fun.
yeah, me too.
And they did this wacky thing that you thought it feels like shouldn't work out on screen, where the king's little sister is driving the car in the high speed chase
so cool.
remotely from somewhere else. It's like a concept that if I had written it in a script, no one would read that and say this works in a movie. No one would, but they totally pulled it off. It was
super.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I liked when they had gunshots coming through the windshield.
They just passed through her because she was like a hologram. Yeah,
that was good.
I also love that his suit absorbed kinetic energy.
Yeah.
That could be pushed back afterwards.
So I wanted to bring that up when
cool.
when they talked about that, and he was like riding on top of the car. In the trailer, they had that. In the trailer, they had that last shot, I think, in the teaser trailer where he was on top of the car and then he flipped and the car went boosh like that and landed on the other one. In the trailer, it looked very CG Marvel movie to me. I was like, oh, cool. But then I understood why everything was happening here with his suit absorbing all the power. And that was the first time he used it, was to launch that car. Yeah. And I was like, that's insane. That's so cool. And I saw that same scene, but with way more, emotional empathy.
Yeah, there's much better context.
Yeah, context, yeah.
I'd like to raise a topic for discussion. For whatever reason, I bought into the stakes of this movie. When King T'Challa is challenged by Killmonger, and he says, "I want to, it's my blood right to challenge you for the throne," and they acknowledge, yes, that actually is his right. He can, and I could see that King T'Challa is sort of outmatched here. I felt some serious anxiety on his behalf, right? Like, I was pretty dang worried about the outcome of this match.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, and I was surprised that they made me feel that. And so what I want to talk about is, why did that work? How did they succeed? And how can one succeed in storytelling to get an audience to buy into the stakes of a situation that's obviously fictional and is probably going to have a happy ending?
Right. You know what's funny? I've never really understood the whole kind of thing where you can assume what's going to happen, so therefore the stakes don't matter. Kind of like what you were talking about with the girlfriend thing. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, well, he's going to drop his weapon and that's going to happen. When you predict those kinds of things, do the stakes not matter at all? Like, or is it?
I don't think if you're predicting, I don't think the stakes do matter. And so if you are in a state where you are predicting in a film, like actively predicting, I think the film is doing something wrong inherently. Like, I don't think you should be watching a movie and trying to predict what's going to happen. You should just be watching it.
Yeah.
For this instance, I've seen the trailer for Infinity War. Black Panther is in that movie.
Yeah.
I knew he survived this movie.
Right. Yeah.
But the stakes I felt there. The high stakes during this sequence, regardless of knowing that he will live.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead.
So could that be just more like, just because they have that first fight between him and the other tribe, and he narrowly makes it through, so you kind of know he's not the best at fighting without his Black Panther abilities.
I think that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, and then when he goes in, you know that the whole kingdomship is on the line, and so I think it's because the stake is kingdomhood rather than one individual life or something like that. It's a much bigger impact. It's a bigger written stake. It's a less cliched stake.
I wonder if...
Other than Lion King.
Yeah. I also wonder if it had to do with the fact that, it was all sanctioned, right?
Yeah, it was all approved.
He actually had the right to kill this person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and even his most loyal followers, his royal guard, had to go along with this new king if he won.
Yeah. And I think you're spot on there. I think because if someone understands exactly where the story is taking every element, and then you can see how this is going to, come together. So say we understood that because they're so ceremonial and so traditional, that what you said, everyone will have to go along with this new thing if it happens. Then we know that at the outcome of this battle, if it's bad, that's going to happen. Everyone's going to have to go along with it. And so you're doing that rather than other movies who, maybe the kingdom is all sticking on his side and they haven't built up this whole ceremonial thing.
Yeah.
So when that happens, it's kind of...
I actually felt some jubilation when he shows up at the end to challenge Killmonger.
Yeah.
When he first reveals himself that he's still alive, and he points out, I didn't yield and I didn't die. Right. Therefore, you are not the king.
Yeah, that was
oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's really
and
really cool.
And that made me really really mad when that guy who was in Get Out, I don't know his name,
stayed with.
Yeah, when he didn't when he stayed with Killmonger and didn't go
Yeah.
with his rightful king, I was really frustrated at that because
that
that
was
was
so
against
cool.
the actual tradition.
Yeah, I love that it frustrated
Yeah.
us, And like even when the general says, threatens him and he's like, "You're gonna kill me, your boyfriend,"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I am going
We're like,
to.
"Oh shit."
Yeah, took that to get him to surrender.
Yeah.
By the way, Get Out guy is Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah, he's great.
Kaluuya.
Yeah, I like that.
He's an excellent actor.
Another name that I'm probably butchering. Apologies.
Yeah. I want to talk about a bit of the music used in here.
Yeah, I love the music all throughout.
The music had, so there were the points. You know how I said that it kept showing me, oh, by the way, this is a Marvel film every now and then. The soundtrack is super unique throughout this whole thing, where it feels very, because it's African influenced, but then at the same time we're using trap beats and synthesizers a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we have all this kind of mixture of very modern and very ancient stuff together. So it was really cool and really interesting. And then every now and then those brass horns come in, and where it's like dun da da,
Yeah.
and like it's like, whenever there's a triumphant moment, this was a really funny part. So the triumphant moment music, the trumpets, come in when what's his name, T'Challa is being beat by Killmonger. So Killmonger like punches him and he falls down to the ground and he goes bum bum bum, like the trumpets come in. I'm like, whoa, what? And then they go out and then he rises back up and he punches him again and goes bum bum bum. And it just keeps coming back. You're just like, oh, remember Marvel? And then
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, go away. I want to listen to the good stuff.
See, Marvel's never been good at like classical orchestra score. Like
Yeah.
all of their score that's with like violins and trumpets, that's more traditional cinema.
It sounds
is
very
always
generic.
yeah, super generic.
Yeah.
It's like they left the temp music in.
Right. Exactly.
I remember feeling like the score was good the first time I heard the Avengers theme in the Avengers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is now the Marvel theme that
Yeah.
they
Right.
play at the
'Cause it's
beginning
the only
of
one
the
people-
But
movies.
it's
No.
not even that good of a theme. Like it's slightly above average, but it's not
I also
like iconic to
I
me.
like the Ant-Man score because they purposely go a bit more campy
Yeah.
with Ant-Man, and the music it almost feels like music from the Adam West Batman.
Yeah. No, it totally
It's
does.
Very, has
Yeah.
a very comic booky zing pow kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
And I think that works, but mostly I'd say you're right. It's sort of non-remarkable
Yeah.
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
Which is why Black Panther is awesome when it's not the traditional score and it's more
Man.
of those tribal African drums that sound so
Those
crazy.
drums. Yeah.
It's so awesome.
It's so cool when they have like a theme of when you're trying to figure out if it's diegetic or non-diegetic,
Yeah.
and like the theme comes in with drums and like reverb, like people singing.
Yeah.
And it's just, it feels so interesting. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have music like that in films a lot.
When they from the first reveal of Wakanda through the ceremony to make him king,
Mhm.
I was just in like filmmaker's splendor, just like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking beautiful and epic and deep and complex. Just they're the ceremonial battle area, which is like in this little pool
Yeah.
under a waterfall.
Yeah.
And they look up, and on these tiered cliffs, you have 1,000 levels of people.
yeah, that's cool.
In vibrant costumes, which looks very much like a famous shot from Lawrence of Arabia, when Lawrence is leaving this Bedouin camp, and all the women of the camp come out and stand on the cliffs and cheer as they ride away. It looked
Yeah.
a lot like that, and it was awesome. This looked like nothing else, and I love that.
Yeah.
So much.
I
you know?
really did like that. Yeah. the
And
unique
everything, not just Wakanda, but like the other part of Wakanda. They go up into the snowy mountains for the hiding tribe up
That
there.
was neat, yeah.
The set design there was freaking crazy.
It was so cool.
The throne room with all those hanging like
Yeah.
branches or logs on the wall.
Yeah.
Just looked wonderful.
Super cool. Like so much set design in here it was so funny because it reminds me of anti-Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Like Marvel, I feel just feels so generic sometimes when they do like the technology and the set design.
Yeah.
And like the design of their ships, everything is like so. Oh, you know spaceships, right? Here's a spaceship.
I I honestly feel like this was the biggest in scope Marvel film, with terms of how much they had to create in terms of places, technology, costumes, world building, cultures, even in the stuff that takes place out at other planet, right? This felt way more rich and full than even Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I would say so too. Like the aesthetics of this just branched out everywhere.
Like production quality is like like peak A-level studio production quality.
Yeah, almost more like a Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right. African Star Wars.
And not Last Jedi.
No.
Which seemed very bleak and empty, actually.
Yeah, no.
I wonder why. I wonder if they chose to release this in February because, well, they have a crazy slate. Marvel has a crazy slate this year anyway.
Because Black History Month.
Oh, God. If that's why. Oh my gosh! There probably was a boardroom of white rich people at Disney. Probably had. Oh,
what did you think?
Oh gosh, who was the one who wrote it? I've got an idea. Well, February is Black History Month. Let's put out Black Panther.
Right.
That's a great idea.
Great.
Well,
yeah.
Aren't we a diverse company?
I think it was
very forward thinking.
Very forward.
Oh gosh.
I think it was more like. Let's make our Marvel Studios film. Let's make Black Panther. It'll be a new IP for the studio, and let's make it like let's go all out on production quality, like absolutely all out, and then let's release it in an absolutely dead month and just soak up all of the money for all those people who don't have anything to go see. Give them something amazing to go see.
February is not typically a giant movie month.
Right. No, I think that definitely... I don't know if that was the plan, but it definitely worked.
Yeah, that's definitely what's happened.
Yeah. Craziness.
It's interesting.
Can we talk about real quick the weird race kind of thing that's happening with this film outside of the film?
Yeah. We want to get real
you mean out in the real world?
Yeah.
Sure.
So the film does not have an all-black cast.
No.
They even have a main... So, like Andy Serkis's character, for instance, is one of the main bad guys. But it seems like they're doing kind of like what we talked about. We wanted to say that this film was almost like Wonder Woman in the sense where everyone is saying that it's way bigger than it seems like it is. Where this film is, standing tall for all black citizens, and that this
revolutionary.
This is revolutionary because it's an all-black film and blah blah blah. And I wish people would just get over the fact that race has anything to do with any of this. Just enjoy the film.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're, because I can't totally relate because I never grew up that way. I can't say that I feel completely sympathetic with everyone who's black themselves and says that this is a great film to portray blacks. But I don't know. It's like the same with Wonder Woman. I feel like it's a good movie, but it doesn't have to be symbolic about all these things.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
Yeah.
I had friends that posted on Facebook after Wonder Woman saying that me and my daughter had tears in our eyes after this, like it was the Berlin Wall coming down.
It's a little silly.
Meanwhile, you're still cheering for a superhero parading around in something close to underwear. So I don't know how far have we come here. I'm not sure. But I think the thing to say is this is a film that wrote black characters in a way that is very refreshing and exciting and cool. And I think that's something that's often either done wrong or done very cliche or just the same way over and over again, right?
The same way over and over again.
The same way with Wonder Woman. We've seen female heroes, but never done quite like Wonder Woman.
Right.
Wonder Woman did it in a way that was just like, wow, this does feel new and exciting. Is it a leap forward for women in movies, I don't know.
Right.
James Cameron made a really great point after everyone's having this talk about how Wonder Woman's this big move forward for women in movies, and he's like, dude, I wrote Sarah Connor. I wrote Ripley.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me
Right.
that Wonder Woman is tougher or a stronger woman
Yeah.
Right.
than Ripley.
And
Right.
he did it 30 years before also.
Right, exactly. And like there have been, I'm not going to go and try to think about a bunch of black films that have been bigger, but there have been several, that have done the same thing. Of course, not on the scope, obviously of a Marvel film. And it's really cool that we do have a Marvel film this big that focuses so heavily on African culture. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it's necessary to call it a leap forward. I don't think it's.
No,
I think it's
necessary
cool to
call
have
it,
have a for lack of a better word, a black-centric movie that is African focused, Africa focused is really cool. And I've known people to say that there was a time in their life when they first saw someone who looked like them in the kind of media they like watching, and how it meant a great deal,
Right.
To them.
I can see that. Yeah.
And this isn't the black character joining the white movie.
Right.
So I think there is something to be said about it, but I do agree. I wish we could just not be talking about it.
Right,
Yeah,
that's
it's just,
kind of the
it's
thing.
just overblown.
That's kind of it,
and
yeah.
it's not really completely necessary.
It's
Just
just
let
not
it take its natural course, rather than make a big old deal about it and kind of alienate some people.
Well, we wouldn't want that.
No.
Don't want to alienate them.
We wouldn't want white people to be uncomfortable.
and it's funny. I think
God.
this movie actually did what Wonder Woman was so praised to do. I think this one actually did it better, where you have all the warriors in here is an all-female warrior team,
And they seemed far more imposing than the Amazons.
yeah,
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
and it wasn't like
They-
we're female type of thing. It was just we're warriors and we're tough as shit. They're
Yeah.
scary people.
It felt like they could take down Darth Vader's Imperial Guards.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah, these spear wielding crazy.
Speaking of spears, there was a piece of atrocious exposition in this movie, the kind that I just hate, where Killmonger is holding a vibranium spear, and he goes...
I remember that.
He
I
holds it
remember
up,
this
he goes, vibranium spear. In my hand, I hold a weapon powerful enough to destroy a tank. He's telling it to people all around him who know exactly what it is, right?
Yet it won't be picked up in metal detectors.
Yeah, yet it won't be picked up by metal detectors.
And we
It's
have 5,000 of them.
You're clearly telling information to the audience.
Yeah, you
right?
might as well just look at us.
Yeah, give us a wink.
Yeah, some of the stuff in here was a little weird plot-wise. Martin Freeman's character, when he got shot in his spine or something.
Yeah.
They wanted T'Challa wanted to take him back to Wakanda to heal him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why not just stick him in a hospital? I mean,
Because he would be a paraplegic his whole life.
Was that the
They
reason?
were able to actually heal him with their technology.
And why did he care then? Why did he care about Martin Freeman's character so much?
Well, first of all, T'Challa is different from his father and others that have come before him in that he has more of this bleeding heart.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to me, they were portraying that he really cares about people.
Yeah.
And second, Freeman did just take a bullet for someone he loved. So that's why. Obviously,
it didn't connect with me very much. I felt like they had to go back to Wakanda with Freeman so that they could set up another plot point when
because it was handy having him there to explain things.
that was basically it. So that when Killmonger came back, then they knew about him because Freeman was there, and I don't know, it was just weird to me.
Set up some funny moments.
Yeah.
When
Oh jeez.
I'm gonna
Jeez.
bring race up again because it fits my funny moment. But when they go up into the mountains to talk to the other tribe, I forget what they were called, but it's it's King T'Challa's mom and wife and guard
Yeah.
and sister,
Yeah.
right? And then they have Martin Freeman's character with them, who's, a geeky government worker, a geeky white government worker. And when they're going and talking to the leader of this other tribe, who's this big, powerful man, there's no, as they're talking, and these are people who have mutual respect for each other. Martin Freeman's character is, by all accounts, an outsider. But he comes from a place where he's powerful and important, and so he's trying to interject and get his voice in. And the word that kept coming to my mind was that he was white-splaining. It's like mansplaining. It's just like he feels like he has to explain. And every time he tried to talk, the leader of the tribe, he just starts barking at him. I loved it. And he's like, and then he just learned. And then he, honestly, Marvel movies overdo humor.
Yeah.
But the bits that they left in this film were mostly all big winners for me.
They were good.
And my favorite was this moment. He says, "You will not talk. Speak again, and I will feed you to my children." And he just turns white as a ghost, so scared. And he goes, "I'm just kidding. We're vegetarians." And he starts belly laughing. It was awesome. There was also a moment where they have the very cliche, "I'm in. I'm with you too. You could count me in as well" moment, right?
Yeah.
Musical swell going on. They've just made their plan. They're all saying, "Yeah, yes, we're with you to do this crazy, life-threatening thing." And it was so cliche. "Me too. I'm in." And then that same guy, the leader of the tribe, he's like, "Are you done? Seriously?
Right? Yeah.
Are you done? Oh my gosh." That was good.
Then he asked him to join him, and he's like, "No."
And so true to Marvel form, they broke up serious heavy moments with laughs.
Yeah.
But did not follow the temptation to bang that on the head. I mean, Thor Ragnarok,
It went
it
overboard
was
with
gags
too much.
left,
Yeah.
right, and center, just
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah.
No,
this was light gags, and I liked it.
Yeah.
For that reason.
There was one
really good.
that me and Dee both died at when
Just facepalm to the max.
yeah, just the craziest joke that I've probably ever seen in a movie, honestly. When
Make It Rain?
sister No, not
that
that.
was funny,
It was the one where his sister points
Sneakers.
the camera. Yeah, the sneaker points the camera down, and she goes, "What are those?" Which is directly quoting Jake Paul in real life, who did that.
Because he did exactly
he did that to some reporter. He points the camera and he goes, "What are those?"
Yeah,
and
so
it's
this
become
is-
this whole thing.
So now it's Marvel.
Oh, so
And
that
now
was,
We're
Marvel's
down with
done
the
it.
kids.
so that was a big nod to
Yeah.
the YouTubers.
Yeah,
out there.
and I was
And-
like, "What the
Yeah,
heck?"
and it made me go, "Oh God."
Jeez,
Like,
so
I-
weird.
I felt your groans when that happened. I wasn't quite sure why it was so bad, but that's pretty funny.
'Cause, I mean, to acknowledge something so cringeworthy,
Yeah,
to acknowledge it in a big film, and
It's strange.
Yeah, it was really weird, and not only that but so after that part, I was like, "Oh God, this isn't gonna happen, is it?" And where they're gonna start doing just this is the humorous part, right?
Yeah.
Like how Iron Man was working on his Iron Man suits in his garage, and there was funny part after funny part after funny part, and it was fine there because it was organic and it was kind of the first Marvel film to do that. This one, I felt like it was gonna start doing that when he kicked the suit, and the suit flew. But they willed it. What's the word I'm looking for? They held it in.
They restrained.
They restrained it. Yes.
Good.
So like you were saying, yeah, they restrained it. So it was nice.
Yeah, so this was
What are those?
directed by Ryan Coogler.
Also, that means that. Well,
Ryan
that probably
Coogler.
means that Jake Paul exists in the MCU.
No, stop. Stop it.
Oh, I was wrong, by the way. That 1992 scene at the beginning was not L.A., it was Oakland.
Yeah.
It said that. I remember that now.
Oh, right, because it's California.
Yeah. And I just remembered that because I just looked up
Not
Ryan
like LA isn't in
Coogler.
California.
Ryan Coogler, who was born in 1986, which means he's younger than me, and that makes me a little sad, was born in Oakland. And he directed Creed.
I didn't see Creed.
It was quite
It's
good.
a very good movie.
Yeah, so I hear.
It's very good. He did very well with this film. In fact, if that's his that's his 2 feature films he's directed, I'm pretty dang impressed with Ryan Coogler. Nice.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to complain about this movie. It's whenever we see Marvel films, I feel like there's so much that they get not wrong, but that they get
Average.
yeah,
They
they
get
get
stupid.
average. They get stupid, right?
Yeah.
So like Age of Ultron, any of the Thors after the first one, any of the Captains after the first one,
Yeah.
Civil War, all of these, they seem to just miss their marks, and they're not making the film about anything other than, hey, superheroes are coming together and doing stuff, and like all their motivations are whacked out, like where the Infinity Stones are just kind of like second thought, and the lore, whenever there is lore, there's not a good amount. Like it reminds me of Captain America's first film, where you have the super Nazis. What were they called?
Hydra.
Yeah, the Hydra people.
Super Nazis.
Yeah. So like the whole Hydra thing was just like, oh, bad guys that are
They're
doing the bad guy
bad.
thing. Yeah.
Why are they bad?
It's
Who
'cause they're
are
German?
they?
Is that why?
Actually? Oh yeah, it was that.
Like,
Because they're super Nazis.
right.
But
So like,
why?
it's just weird because none of these really, they don't grow.
Yeah.
They're just kind of there to fulfill their purpose, and then they go away. Even with like Ant-Man's, have you seen Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Ant-Man's villain in there was just so forgettable.
I don't even know. I can't even picture in
I
my
saw
head who it is.
Ant-Man like 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember the villain really.
Like
I liked it.
Yeah,
but-
it was there to serve a purpose and then out. And this film, what it did so well was that because it evolved so well on aesthetics, and they just went really hardcore into the story, like the actual people.
Yeah.
The culture came out, and it made it into what a film should be. It's about something, not just vehicles to make it go somewhere.
Yeah. It actually tells a little bit more of a story.
Right.
I feel like there's Marvel movies that don't even tell like a story necessarily.
Yeah, it seems that
It's
way.
like so bland that it hurts. So bland that it hurts.
What was the the Age of Ultron?
Age of Ultron's the biggest one for me. Where
Yeah.
it's just like, oh gosh, it seems dead. It seems like everybody who's in frame is just dead inside.
Thor 2 felt like that for me.
Yeah, I didn't
You
see
haven't
Thor
seen
2.
it, yeah. When I watched that, I was just like, oh,
Yeah, it's kind of like why?
why?
Why do we even need this?
And to be honest, I think there's more Marvel movies like that than there are like really solid good ones.
Yeah.
You know who else was considered for the role of King T'Challa? John Boyega.
Oh, but he
For
took
the
Pacific
King.
Could
Rim 2.
you imagine if this year we saw John Boyega in Last Jedi, Pacific Rim 2, and Black Panther?
One of these things is not like the other.
Some trivia. Wakanda was mentioned in the MCU as early as Iron Man 2.
Wow.
It was on a monitor at S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wow.
So, long play.
That one's bad too, though.
Long play.
On a monitor.
Look at that.
That's like DCU.
Wesley Snipes had been carrying around a screenplay for Black Panther since the early 90s and pitching himself to play Black Panther.
He's pretty mad right now.
I bet he's sad. Couldn't even get a role in the movie.
Oh, no.
Sad. Well, that concludes the trivia section of the podcast.
That was quick. Speed sections. How many sections can we talk about in one amount of time?
Although Forrest Whitaker is a good actor, I don't feel like he should have been in this film.
I thought he was fine. I liked his role.
I didn't feel anything. I thought he was all right.
I thought that Forrest Whitaker's role as the medicine man shaman was good.
I thought it was fine.
I
thought it was fine.
Could have been anyone. Who cares?
But it was Forrest Whitaker. That's who it was.
I like Forrest Whitaker.
I do too, for the most part.
I do too, for the most part. Yeah.
Did you ever see The Last King of Scotland?
No.
No.
That's his best movie. and it's like amazing. His role is amazing. He won an Oscar. Check it out.
I shall.
It's a little traumatizing and disturbing, so only if you're into that type of thing.
Which is totally your bag.
I'll check it out. I'll watch it before I go to sleep.
Before you go to bed.
I have nothing more to say.
Boy, have we run out of things to say about Black Panther?
Yeah.
I'm just really happy that it was what I hoped it would be.
It was good.
It wasn't near a 90.
Well, we
No,
just
it was-
talked about what hype does to movies on our way to this movie.
Yeah.
Because of Cloverfield Paradox.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So, obviously, there was a lot of hype for the next Cloverfield movie, whatever it would be, whenever it would come out. Cloverfield's actually, like, lives off of hype. They create their own hype with these cool viral marketing they create anticipation very, very well.
Yeah.
And the way that they dropped this movie at the Super Bowl, I think made people even more excited. And then they went and saw it, coming fresh off of 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was like freaking
Great.
amazing.
Yeah.
And people just dumped all over this movie. People don't like this movie. Critics especially hate that movie. So I didn't go see it. I didn't watch it until after hearing that everyone hated it and that critics hated it. Then I watched it and I was like, this is pretty good. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
I watched it right as the buzz started picking up, and I liked it.
I haven't watched it yet.
But my point is, I feel like that if I had walked into a cinema to see it instead of on Netflix,
Yeah.
and had just my only reference point was the fact that I loved Cloverfield and I loved 10 Cloverfield Lane, and here's the next piece, I probably would have been disappointed. Like the expectation can influence the experience. And there was a lot of hype and expectation built around this, and for me,
Panther,
it matched up with Black Panther.
I didn't. I actually had zero hype whatsoever for this movie.
Nice.
And I actually had pretty low expectations.
Nice.
Like
Well,
I
the
was
best.
generally expecting it to be pretty generic, and so I was pretty happy. I was like, "Oh, this is fun."
I feel like I had like middle expectations but high hopes.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
really wanted this movie to be what indeed it turned out
Would
to
it be?
be.
Yeah, that's basically what I was too. I was
satisfied.
like everyone was hyping up like it's gonna be a super epic movie, and I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
But I really hope it's not generic.
I wish
Yeah.
there were more words for describing a good movie, because I just get tired of hearing triumph and tour de force. Like, can we think of something else to say?
And that's the other thing. Like Black Panther is not a masterpiece or a triumph or a tour de force. It's just a solid, good movie.
Right. It's just good. Yeah.
It's not 90%. It's like if I had to rate it on the Rotten Tomato meter score, caliber scores, I'd give it like a 68 or maybe a 70.
Mm-hmm.
Not a 95.
Yeah,
Certified
but
best movie of all time.
However, let's alter that score a bit, where instead of grading it based on how a movie, just as his performance as a movie,
Okay.
against all the other movies that are coming out concurrently,
So against other movies that are out now
or let's just say of the last year,
of the last year.
right? So like if we talk about, if we make a bell curve,
Yeah.
right, where in the middle, what we call a C, is okay movies,
Mhm.
right? And then all the bad ones over here and all the good ones over here. This has to fall on the side of B to A.
I would say about B. Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
what
yeah.
I'm saying is that you're not wrong. I'm just saying that most movies coming out right now are a lot worse than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is by far on the better side of the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think
You
there's
see, it's the
but,
movies that are failing us.
But I think there's a really big discrepancy between this and Phantom Thread and Blade Runner.
Right.
Like, those handful of movies that came out. There's a big discrepancy there
Sure.
in terms of quality.
Sure, but if we have to look at the whole pantheon I'd say that discrepancy gets shrunken down
But
to A plus.
Wait.
No. Listen. To those movies being A pluses and this being a B plus. That's where you end up if you put that all on one plate.
But if we talk about all the movies that came out in February, Black Panther is the best of them all.
Easily.
Easily.
Maybe since Jan 1.
Yeah. Oh, no, yes.
Well, because most of the movies we've seen
Phantom
all came
Thread
out
was last year.
Yeah, in
so,
December.
Best movie of the year.
Yeah,
Black
it's
Panther.
Best movie
I
of the year.
think it is the best movie of the year.
Until
So
Pacific
far.
Rim 2.
Yeah.
So thank
Oh,
you,
God.
thank you MCU for bringing us the best movie of the year.
I don't like this.
Critics are calling
I don't like
it
this.
the movie of the year.
You've heard it here.
I don't like this.
The Talkies are on record.
I don't like this
Black
logic.
Panther's the best movie of the year.
Compared to Winchester.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Holy cow, is it better than Winchester? What is it on Rotten Tomatoes right now, anyway?
It was like a high 80, I think.
Something stupid, I'm sure.
98%.
I mean, we haven't really dove into this yet on the podcast, on the show, but I have many opinions about why Rotten Tomatoes needs to be dumped as a way we
it's terrible.
rate movies.
Yeah, checking it for every movie.
It's funny because I still check it.
Yeah, just out of curiosity.
Well, because it's interesting, it does give you a kind of information that has some meaning, but it's not the meaning people actually go there
yeah,
for.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all messed up.
So it's
instance.
97%.
Yeah,
Really?
no,
Jeez.
stop. Just stop
But
it.
think about that. It's 97%, and then if you pulled up a list of all the other films of all time that have 97 also, that puts it up there in like the leagues of like some of the most like influential, greatest films
Well, sure.
ever made.
Let's just take last year. I mean, Shape of Water is likely going to win Best Picture, and
Gosh,
it was
Shape of Water was so
nominated by more than any other movie, right? So here's Shape of Water,
94%.
92%.
What the heck? That's so
according to this
wrong.
metric, Black Panther is a better movie than The Shape of Water.
That's
which
absurd.
is- yeah, so there's obviously something very broken with our system here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a topic for another podcast, another
Another
day.
podcast? Oh, God.
Oh, let's make a new podcast.
New show.
Same podcast, same show. I think if we ever have time, if we cover a movie that's just boring
Not
and not
worth
worth
it.
talking about, we can spend a half an hour talking about Rotten Tomatoes because I have a lot to say about it.
Yes.
But until that time comes, suffice it to say, Black Panther was a fantastic experience at the movie theater. Highly recommended. Had a great time.
Yeah, it was fun.
And to get the three of us to all sort of nod and say, yeah, this was good, and be as a comic book movie,
Right.
It's pretty good.
maybe it is a triumph.
It's trying for us, at least.
No, I won't go there.
No, we'll go.
All
It's a tour
right.
de force.
Well, guys, it's that time again. Until next time, if you want more awesomeness from the three of us, we have other podcasts and content on YouTube that you can check out. Look up WTF M. Night Shyamalan. Check out Confirmed if you are into video games or not. You might just dig it because, it's
awesome.
some pretty deep stuff these guys go into.
Yeah, we're going for it.
Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you can. Find
Smash
us.
that like button.
You
Smash
find
that
us on
button.
Facebook and Twitter. And until,
Subscribe.
Oh, what are we covering next week, guys?
I don't know.
Oh, let's look at it. Next week.
I'm
week.
nervous.
Next week, what is
Oh,
it?
I know it's next week.
Oh, it's Annihilation.
Yeah, that's
Yay!
Next
awesome.
week we're covering Annihilation.
Cool.
And so
Look forward to that one.
throw some comments up on our Facebook page or tweet at us, and we will read your comments on the show next week as we discuss Annihilation, which I hope is going to be fun.
I hope so.
All right. Until then,
Padme's in it.
I'm Kenny,
I'm D.
I'm Taylor.
and we'll see you at the Talkies.
Whoa. That's good.
Boom. Witty punchline.
You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. Your voice would thrill a nation.